Back during the campaign, again, you couldn't vote. Did you even care?
I mean, I never really understood politics that much, but I mean,
that's okay. Not many of us do.
But I mean, election like this, yeah, I would have killed to vote this year.
What excited you? Was it just that he was a person who looked like you?
I mean, not just looks like me. I mean, he was brought up exactly like I was. I mean, my mom was around a lot, but I mean, she did work most of the time, and so my grandma and my grandpa picked up and watched me a lot of the times, and just to know that he's pretty much exactly the same upbringing as me, and yet he's so much farther than where I set my goal to be in life. It's just...
So Dr. Moore, when was it that you realized, you know, this guy is something special? He's got a chance to be president.
You know, I think for me it was, and a lot of folks talk about his talk that he did at the Democratic Convention, I think, I forget the year, but it was during, I think, the Kerry campaign. He did the opening address at the Democratic National Convention. I think when you seen and saw not only his oratorical skills, but also just, you know, what seemed to be a breath of wisdom, and then when you read, you know, begin to read his work, as Eddie's saying, you know, the life he lived and where he's come from in that life and to where he is, you know, I mean, it just takes something internal to be able to move to that kind of position when you're dealing with, you know, what life presents you and presents all of us, which is struggle. And so I think it's just an accumulation of those things. But, you know, being president takes a lot. Besides, you know,
especially
good looks and, you know, and the right words to say, you know. So I think when you start to see who's connected to, you start to see how he's relating to folks, you start to see how he's challenging. And, I mean, so watching how he does what politics asks you to do, I think starts to get you to think, okay, maybe this guy can really, you know, become the president. It's not that I had questions that he could do the job, but, you know, getting into that position, I mean, it takes a lot of things.
Now, you're an educator. You decided to take your son with you. What did you want your son to learn from this experience?
You know, I don't know the answer, and I do want him to be able to say, though, which is something I can say, and we have this shared experience, that we were there. It's just that simple, that as life goes on, people will be talking about that moment for years and years. And the two of us can always say, hopefully in the same space, but in different places, we were there. And for me, I think that was the foundation of what I wanted to build on. And I hope that there's some other things that he'll continue to reflect on and experience that'll bring it out. But I really wanted us both to share that moment and be able to say years and years and years and years down the road, we were there.
Your dad's all right, man.
I know.
You actually told me before the show that there were some things that you just couldn't express. You felt like that the feelings you couldn't talk about, but there was a time that you wrote something down. I think now's the right time to read what you wrote there, you know, kind of the thing that we've talked about here, what kind of encapsulated your feelings at the time.
Yeah, you know, one of the things Eddie and I wanted to do is bring this back to the kids at the school, particularly the 4th grade kids. So we gathered some photos. We also gathered some flip video kinds of stuff that we're going to put together and present to our 4th grade and maybe some other kids. But for myself, too, I just wanted to be able to kind of capture what it is I was feeling and in writing. So I did some poetry, and then I did just reflections. So the last piece after the last day is what I wrote, and it's called A Moment. And I just wanted to have something just really short and concise, sums it up. And it's called A Moment, and here's how it goes. It says, if I had to say it short and sweet, I'd have to refuse. If it was an event, it was an event beyond any feat. My life, my purpose, my focus was simply moved. I feel energized, challenged, ready. The crowd it had to be proud, while even millions of folks just stood there peaceful and steady. Happy, screaming, cheering, it was just so loud. I'm exhausted, I'm filled, I'm an American. Yes, we must, yes, we will. Yes, we did. Yes, we can.
I hope you put that on the website as well, and I hope you show that to the fourth graders, and I hope you talk with them just like this, because maybe they can feel it too. What I want to do is I want to skip over the LA Times article, and I want to go straight to this next picture, because I have been impressed with the transition from President Bush to President Obama. Surprised, actually. Not to be a difficulty, but there seems to be a real cooperation. This picture right here is an interesting one because of the two presidents, and then the gentleman in the background being Vice President Cheney. What was the mood like with regard to President Bush there?
Well, it wasn't good.
I just wondering.
You know, and for me, and I was talking to an educator that was there with some kids she had there, and you know, I think some may not have agreements and disagreement with the president, but I think the office deserves a level of respect. And so I agree and didn't agree with, you know, the booing and the, you know, the chanting of things that, you know, I think bring disrespect to the office of presidency. And so I think that wasn't 100% across the whole crowd, but it was visible and evident that there were some folks who had some ill feelings against the now 43rd President George Bush.
The ex-president.
The ex-president.
Eddie, so you're there in a crowd of people, a penguin all together, and you huddle together to get warm?
There were so many people. We were in a people jam. We were standing shoulder to shoulder with people in the street.
Could you actually hear what he was saying, President Obama was saying during his inauguration speech?
A bunch of jumbotrons, and it was very well.
Oh, so you could hear and see. So you got to see Aretha Franklin and.
Yes.
Yeah, no offense, probably closer to your dad and I than to you, but I'm telling you, Aretha is really good. So, well, what I'm going to do, also another one in the booth, we're going to skip over to President Obama. These are some words from the inauguration speech itself, which was a wonderful speech. He says, "On this day, we come to proclaim an end to the petty grievances and false promises, the recriminations and worn-out dogmas that for far too long have strangled our politics." Now, I want to ask this, with regard to race relations and what you've done your whole life, what's he talking about there?
Well, I think for me, as I understand that, it's a continuation of what he's been saying from the beginning is, yes, we can, and change is coming. And so, I mean, I think for me, as I read that and hear that, I think in there is the time is now for a new kind of energy, a new kind of focus around these issues.